Hey everyone, hope you all had a great
2 weeks.
and welcome back to our 10-year sketchbook tour. Last time we took a look at the first 3 sketchbooks, which covered about the first 5.5 years of my life as an artist. And today we'll be looking at the next 3, covering about 2020 to the end of 2024. So 4 or 5 years. But nothing left to it but to do it. Let's create some chaos. Over here. Now, unfortunately, these next 2 are too big to fit in the camera frame, so I'm going to have to be moving them up and down a lot. But this one comes at the start, or the near start of 2020, so you're going to know where this sketchbook is going to end up in just a few pages. Then we got some character design. We got beast things. It's like looks like a platypus type beast, or maybe like a mole or something. I forget what animal I based it off of, but I still think it's a cool thing. And if you didn't know, frog. Next up, we got some more superhero designs. This is going to be like a rhino based one. I actually made up a color palette, which is awesome. Don't do that very often. Some facial and hand expression practice here. Definitely not anatomy practice, because I don't know what's going on there. Oh, and now we have, I think, some of my favorite drawings I've ever done in a sketchbook. So, on the screen right here, there will be a meme talking about what if the song Jolene kept describing Jolene to the point where you weren't sure if she was even a human anymore. I forget the exact wording, but something like that. And it was the creature had like sharp teeth, mouth agape, claws that rend fresh, all that kind of stuff. Like it just got more and more grotesque and horrific. And I thought, what if we actually designed that character? So even back then, I was drawing stuff based off of memes. And this is what I came up with. It's only a front view, and I would love to twist it again, redesign it with the descriptors, and see what I could do, because I never figured out what this creature would look like from a side angle. And then here we have an Ice Witch design. I don't think she has a name. Never mind, Queen Freeze, the Freeze Queen, in case you didn't get that from the name. And I just love this design. It never went any further than this, but I've always wanted to draw out this character because it just her design looks so cool. I love it so much, and I just never did anything with it. I will promise you now there will be a redesigning my characters stream or video coming in the near future, because looking back at this, it's all so cool. Here's another character we did called Upchuck, and his ability was to literally he could swallow a whole bunch of weapons that were stored in his stomach as a pouch, and he would throw them up if he needed to retrieve them. Honestly, it's a really fun character that I really like. And the shading on it too, like this is a really well done piece of art in my opinion. Based obviously off of My Hero, with them labeling each hero. So this is the storage hero, Upchuck. Name, Ralph, because that's another word for vomiting. Ralph D'Angelo, and he could store a multitude of objects in his pouch and retrieve them as well. I tried to design a hero costume for him, but I honestly think it looks a lot better like this than with any of this stuff. And then here we had to do some convention booth designs for a class I did. And so I did one for My Hero Academia because the new movie Heroes Rising was coming out at the time. And as you can see the date in the top corner, you know what's coming up soon. So this was the last thing we ever did in class before a certain world-altering event hit, and we had to draw a comic. Unfortunately, since we got sent home for the said world-altering event, we never actually finished this project. And at the time I was relieved, because I'm like, wow, that's a lot of drawing. I don't know if I'll be able to do this. I think I would have refound my love for making comics for this, and I think it really would have altered the path my life took if I had to finish this project. And here I tried to design an old superhero team that we'll actually look at later, but the anatomy was not doing it for me. I did not love how it turned out. But otherwise, I really like the posing is not bad. These water effects I really like. The morphing was all cool, but like these things down here with the anatomy were not working, and so I gave up on that idea. And here we go. This was me making up my own stands, because this is when I was getting into JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. This one is Alice in Chains. I drew it out before I named it. I came up with the design and then added elements to make it relate to the band Alice in Chains afterwards. And then here's another picture of it in an action type pose. I still really like it. Another sketch of Frostbite, because at this point I was taking a 3D character building class and I really wanted to make him into a 3D model. And then here we have Rex Diablo, which you can see here, which was going to be the stand user of Alice in Chains. And I realized I didn't explain what stands were. If you watch JoJo's Bizarre Adventures, it's basically the power system. It's like these fighting ghosts that all have their unique abilities, and they're like superpowers, just disconnected from the user's physical body. And so this was Rex Diablo and Alice in Chains. And Rex Diablo is also a reference to a Alice in Chains song called The Devil Put Dinosaurs Here. So T-Rex and Diablo for devil. Oh, I remember. I don't exactly remember this thing, but I remember liking it a lot, and I still really do. The style, it's very stylistic. The posing's really good. The background isn't horrible. Obviously, it's something Spider-Man related, but I forget exactly what I was trying to do. Either Spider-Man and My Hero or Spider-Man with a JoJo stand. I don't remember, but this is just a very cool, stylistic drawing that I would like to adopt this style to get back into it, if I can remember how I did it. Oh, here we go. This one marks a big turning point in my art career. I had interviewed a friend who was a metal artist, as in the music, not working with metal, and he was talking about his upcoming album called Incomplete Gods. So after that interview, I had sketched this out, and I was going to go up to him and be like, hey, I made this for your new album. If you want it, awesome. Feel free to take it. He unfortunately already had an artist, so this just became a really cool piece of mine that I really liked doing. And this really jump-started me doing Photoshop on YouTube and just art in general, which has led to KyngPin Creations. Here is, these are storyboards for a music video that it hasn't even been recorded. It was written, but it never got any sonic treatment, meaning sound. And I couldn't even do this because this required green screen and multiple extra actors. There was a point where I was going to be in an empty auditorium because apparently I thought just being in one of those was free. I would love to make it, but I would need a lot of money to do so. Just brilliant artwork on these two pages. For one of my classes, I had to make a lyric video, and to go a step above and beyond, I wrote and recorded my own song, just a little bit of guitar based on what I could do. And these are coming up with ideas for the cover art. I ended up going with this one because I really liked the candle in a dark room as it related to some of the lyrics. And here it is. So these are the storyboards for the Prove to You lyric video that I had to do for a class. This was like a second pass of storyboards for Prove to You, and how I just made the whole thing look like a notebook. If you want to watch it, there'll be a link down in the description. And that brings us to the end of another sketchbook. Awesome. Moving on to our next big one. I'm so sorry. These are so big and they're so hard to fill out. So now we're getting into thesis sketches. My original plan for my college thesis was to have this whole big 3D modeled and rendered sci-fi type animation thing where the camera would be snaking through these sci-fi halls, and it would end up on this big sci-fi scene. Except I wasn't very good at modeling characters, so I was definitely biting off more than I could chew. And here we have a a sketch of what the sci-fi character would look like with some weapon designs too. At this point, you're going to see a lot of storyboarding and sketching for school animation. This is a character design we did for a collaborative animation project for one of the classes. And this was his father, who had no bearing on the actual animation itself. I just wanted to draw Felix and Felix Sr. And here we go. These next few pages. Yeah, here. This is the sketch of what hangs behind me in all my intros. In my senior year, a whole bunch of us got together and we were tasked with coming up with a musical in about a week or 2 weeks' time for an event called World College Radio Day, which was this big event for college radio stations across the world. And so we put together a 9-track musical, wrote and recorded and cover design in 2 weeks. I was tasked with making the cover art, and this is what I came up with, and this is what you can see Photoshop-ized in my intros on a nice metal poster. This is actually where I officially met Nate and Tara from boss level. So without this, there would be no boss level. Maybe. And then here, once we finished that musical, I completely scrapped my old thesis project and moved into a 3D animated lyric video of my particular song on the album. And this is just the back cover art of the thing. And so here's the storyboards for that 3D lyric video. Every shot was planned out. I was originally going to put people like a shadowy figure in it to represent the FCC, but once again was not really that great at modeling characters, so I abandoned that idea. But yep, some sketches of the layout of the office that I wanted, and more storyboards. Some emotion animation sketches. We had to do an emotional reaction. Oh, here we go. First iteration of the boss level logo. Didn't change much, but this is when I designed it when we were doing it just for fun without recording it. And while we didn't see any actual sketches, this is another character from the Project Phoenix project that I had to do for class. And this is where Machnett's power comes back in. Heavy Metal was the name of the ability. So the Project Phoenix thing is everybody had an ability, but every ability had its own trade-off. So something bad had to happen in order for the character to activate their ability. And once again, I really love this style. I don't know why I went away from it. But this character is called Heavy Metal. I forgot what his actual name was. And if he breaks a bone, his skin will develop a metal coating that he could use for offense and defense. And this is another character that I wanted to add in called Night Owl. I didn't have an ability, but the trade-off was the less sleep he got, the more powerful he got. The trade-offs were honestly the hardest thing to come up with when I was designing these characters. But like, once again, that's a cool design. This is a cool style. I don't know why I have stopped drawing in that style. And then here was another character that I was going to add to Project Phoenix. Princess Mew. Her ability was shapeshifting. Didn't come up with a trade-off yet. And her ability is disguise. It's a reference to Motionless in White that I changed one of the letters to. And my favorite album of theirs called Disguise. These are just some logo designs I did for people on radio for their shows. This is a country one called Howdy Rowdy. One called a wrestling one called The Variety Hour. And Tara's radio show when she was in university with me called Stop and Troll. And here is when Heavy as the Crown started becoming a thing. And I was designing logos for Vector and Nicole's bands. This one's Nicole's reverse retrograde, which is the Mercury symbol turned into 2 R's. And as you can see, Vector's skeletons and suits gave me a lot of trouble. I could not come up with what I wanted it to look like. Again, even more of them that were just not doing me any good. Here are sketches from designing the Deadland weapons for Tara. and her campaign. This one is still probably my favorite. The gun or the shield are probably my favorite. Or the bow. Okay, they're all really good. I like all of them. Oh, here we go. The first iteration of the KyngPin Creations logo. As you can see, I was really adamant about the fact that the crown doubles as a K when turned on its side. And originally there was going to be a spade in it, but I kind of dropped the whole of spades thing when I made this new channel. Some texturing and shading practice based on the let me do it for you meme, except I made it horrifying and visceral. Here was a side project I was going to do before I started KyngPin Creations called Albums X Albums, or Albums Fused with Albums, where I was going to take 2 albums and mash the art of them together. It was heavily inspired by Albums of Bikini Bottom, who do something similar, except they remake all the albums with SpongeBob art. And so I was really inspired by that. And this is just sketching out how I wanted the logo to look and what the possible name for the account was. I never actually posted on it, but I do have some of them, so I might make a video showcasing. And this is another stand design. This one's based off of Ice Nine Kills, my favorite band. Logo design for the podcast I did with my father called Feeding the Ducks. Logos. This is what our set for the podcast was going to look like. Green screen, of course. Oh, and here we go. We got the logo design for Freaks Over There when Tara started her band. And these are some ideas of what I wanted the logos to look like. And here are the sketches for the first album titled Checkpoint. Obviously, we ended up going with this one, the one in color. But yeah, that's cool. And we got little KyngPin Goober. This is when the Spider-Verse Goober trend was going around, and it was like, how to draw your own Goober. And so I made mine. Honestly, I'm thinking of making this the new profile picture for the channel, because that is adorable. I would love to make that my mascot. Another pass of the KyngPin Goober. And then a hard shift into whatever this is. This is my superhero for my first ever submission to Popcross's community redraw for the Trismegistus Academy arc. And he had dream manifestation. Apparently he was supposed to have a glowing astral form, but I forgot about that apparently. And that'll do it for our second to last sketchbook. Now this one is my most recent sketchbook. I got it from Nerdforge because it's beautiful. And well, first off, here are all the ideas you've all suggested me through streams. There's like 5 layers of sticky notes here, making sure I never lose an idea. And the first page is blank. Awesome. We don't need to look at this one anymore. But no, we're just going through Doodle a Day, which is a doodle a day in Inktober takes up a majority of this book. But we got sketches for the first This Is That video I ever did, Nimona's Superheroes. Barbenheimer, which we can ignore. Some anatomy practice. Sketches for some more cover art for Heavy as the Crown and My Friend. And yep, here we go. Start of the Doodle a Day. Day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Some sketches. 6. Sketches for Popcross's Alien Community redraw back in 2023. More Doodle a Day, more Doodle a Day, more Doodle a Day. Doodle a Day was a way to help me like get better at art by drawing every day. But like it was wildly inconsistent. Like one day you got this, which is very cartoonish but doesn't work out very well. And then you got this really well detailed and shaded stand design for Laundry and Taxes by Freaks Over There. You can stream that now on Spotify and wherever you get your music. And here's a rework of Vampiro when I was going to add him to the Project Phoenix team. So I gave him a more high schooler type look. I don't think I've ever explained what the Project Phoenix was. I had a project back in university where we had to design characters, and one of the prompts was Project Phoenix. The government experimented on teens and gave them superpowers. I went the step further, giving every superpower a trade-off, and then I really wanted to expand that world, so I was thinking of other ways I could include characters. So we have Vampiro, who was redesigned to look like a high school student and did some really harsh lighting practice there. I still kind of like the first design better than this one, but the high collar's kind of cool. Some facial practice based on almost real people. These two don't actually exist, but this is Spencer Charnas, who's hanging above my computer monitor, Chris Motionless from Motionless in White, and Kim Dracula. But I was trying to understand like face shape and stuff like that. And a lot of these are just sketches for videos. So like Ben 10 High Schoolers, a shirt design that I wanted to do for Heavy's The Crown Infamy that never got made, Nimona as Supervillains. And here are the sketches for Popcross's design challenge, where we had to fuse characters together. I don't know why I decided Ghostface, Ghost Rider, and an Eggo Waffle, but kind of glad that one didn't make the final cut. But this first one was Ghostface, Ghost Rider, and Ghost Freak from Ben 10. It was going to be a triple ghost kind of character. And I opted to replace Ghost Freak with N from Murder Drones, because I liked Murder Drones. This was me practicing Inktober before the challenge actually started, and this led to a little bit, as you can see, Ivan, ? It led into Ivan's current design, Ivan Aklu's narrator design. And here we begin Inktober, after we designed the Freaks Over There cover for their single Bleed For Me, released with the FNAF movie. But we got Inktober, day 1, 2. Still my favorite Inktober drawing. The detail and the shading and the shaping of everything is so good. Nothing I did during Inktober last year beat this. This was my favorite. And then as we move on, we start getting into the actual story beats of Inktober. Obviously, not all of them are related to the story I told, but some of them cool. This is also a top one that I really liked, the fortune cookie. The random shape making up the background I really liked. And here we go. As I mentioned, the slash up. These are my sketches for when I made a video about him. The Cursed Pomni Man, combining Pomni and Omni-Man from Invincible. The initial designs of 50 and 51. They really didn't change much. I was really set on these being the designs. I really wanted them to be like smoky beings without many distinguishing facial features, because there were just so many of them in the Kingdom of Hell. Most of this sketchbook was sketches for either boss level or videos on KyngPin Creation. Here's the initial designs for Professor Marcus Plague. And originally he was going to have like brainwave reader or something on his face to like constantly monitor his vitals and stuff. He also had a scar apparently, which never made it to the final design. Maybe something happens to him later on. So now we're in this year, 2024. My first original D&D character, Duck Scare, the Duck Scare sketches. Katie's designs. I want to make her a lot more buff. She turned out a lot more thinner in the final design than I wanted her to be, but that is something that could always change as her story goes on. First iteration of basically my profile picture currently, combining myself with a very goblin-esque Jekyll and Hyde. And then these are some Aravi sketches from Monster Prom, Monster Camp that I did to just practice perspective and stuff. I think you can see drawn in a moving car, so for a bumpy road, this looks really good. Monster sketches for all the boss level hosts. We have a Siren for Nate Nadia and a Demon for Tara. Lou unfortunately didn't get a sketch. I just kind of went in and drew his, but that's fine. As well as just some face practice that I thought looked really cool. This is another style that I really like that I would love to try and learn to imitate in digital, but for some reason it's not as easy to do in digital as it is on paper. That's the end of this book, except for these shape designs that I did. Are really good for practicing like angling, perspective, spatial awareness, and stuff like that. I need to do more of this. It's been a little while since I have done it. But that's all the sketchbooks. But in gathering all of these, I actually did find two really cool things that I want to share. They're kind of ridiculous, but these are some old comics that I drew. This is The Adventures of the Power Team and Attack of the Evil Team, EVIL as an anagram. I don't know what it stands for. But this was part 1 of book 1. And it was named after me and all my friends. And we all had powers. There was ice, water, which are practically the same thing, fire, slime, and clay or morphing. You know, the basic elements. And even though I liked pyrokinesis and red, this is me, not this one. Because I really wanted to be the leader. And so, our story begins. Once upon a time, there was a power team. The powers were forming, slime, water, fire, and ice. Their names were Kyle, Noah, Matt, Sean, and Zach. Obviously, the most superhero names you could think of. They had a secret base called the Power Lair, with weapons, a meeting area, a flat screen TV, living in fancy, a cafeteria, vending machines, 5 computers, because it's important how much there were, a training room, and a suit room. They also had vehicles. That wasn't important for the first part. So unprompted, they all went to the training room. And this is the dumbest training ever because they're fighting things that they're already strong against. So fire goes against grass, water, fire. Morphing goes against mush. Obviously, I don't know what you're talking about. That's the logical explanation of the weakness against forming. And of course, the weakness of slime would be man. Even though I'm pretty sure that would also be the weakness of fire. And the weakness of ice is steel, because I figured that ice would make it rust. I don't know. None of this comic was scientifically researched, if you couldn't tell. Then they watched the news, those poor people who had to turn on the news willingly. They grabbed their weapons and went to the bank. Apparently the news says a bank was being robbed. Not that you could glean anything from that. Oh, and by the way, before they got to the bank robbery, they stopped for pizza. Can't fight crime on an empty stomach. Then they went to the bank, which is, oh, I wonder what bank I'm referencing here. TD Bank. And they found the bad guys, in case you couldn't tell. And all in unison, they said, stop, 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 stop. The bad guys used their powers. They're spelt wrong. So they went back to the Power Lair to make up a new plan. And while these people were robbing banks, they decided, why not? Let's do some more training. But this time, in their, wrong there, suits. And then afterwards, they went back to their vehicles, stopped for more pizza, presumably in the same day, and went to the bank went to another bank where they found the bad guys again. This one being Bank of America. I'm so clever. But oh no, they transformed their vehicles into robots. Basically, if you haven't caught on already, this was part Power Rangers, part Transformers. You got the Zords that transform into little robot fighting things. And then you got all their superpowers. But oh no, the bad guys had their vehicles too. Once again, wrong there. And they had a big fight. How long did the battle go on, you ask? Oh, well, of course, the battle went on for 9,999,999 decades. Not days, not hours, not minutes or whatever. Decades. So times this number by 10. Everyone here is dead of old age. But yeah, sure, everyone lives forever and they fought for 10 billion plus years or whatever. But apparently it was awesome, so it's all okay. And then one of the villains jumped out of their vehicles and formed a hand into a cannon and escaped to sea. So the next issue was going to be all their vehicles were now going to be aquatic based. And they were going to go and catch the bad guys. Oh, actually, in case you were wondering, the heroes did not know what to do. To be continued. So this was the team I was trying to design in that other sketchbook that you saw. And then, to wrap us all up, there was another comic that I had to do for school. This one is called The Bear Lords, which is based off an inside joke me and my friends had. And this is just Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles with bears. You got the Muscle Bear, the Mage Bear, the Ninja Bear, and the High Tech Bear. And so, our story begins.
Master, we have located their position.
Good. Proceed as planned. As you wish. And then we zoom in on our bad guy, who apparently has a smile that can light up a room. Because all shadow just disappears when he smiles. Also, keep in mind that despite these being two very generic anime eyes, there's two of them. Keep that in mind. That's important for later. So we tune into our heroes at Dr. Bad's lair. They're fighting against Dr. Bad, who's doing something revolving broadcast on evil TV behind them. So we got the buff guy who looks like he's wearing a parka at all times. He's got his axe. Is like our barbarian. I think that's exactly what it's going for. Gadget guy is on top of a vending machine serving hot drinks and jamming this minion's gun. Ninja guy teleports in the disco room in the evil lair, obviously. And then Mage Bear set some guy on fire and he dove into his alligator-infested pool. And this is a little marble track that I'm doubling as an evil contraption. You can hear the sound of the marble. But then once they defeat... Oh, no, actually, they don't defeat Dr. Bad because a random portal opens and sucks literally everything into it. Like the hot chocolate, the radios, the disco ball, everything gets sucked into the portal, leaving literally nothing. And, oh no, they're all confused except Mage Bear, who wants to know what's for lunch because that's how humor works. So, despite whatever horrific thing happened here, they just go back to their base. They're not concerned. They don't investigate. They're just like, well, let's just talk about it over here. So Ninja Bear's like, what happened? How did we lose them? But then, whoa, a similar portal opens up and a note flies in. They're all concerned and they read the note, with Mage Bear lighting the way because there's no lighting in the cave apparently. And the note says, Dear Bear Lords, if you're reading this, you probably got this note. No duh. I know who you guys are and where you are hiding. I have been eager to meet you and will give you the location of my lair located very far from your hiding place. You will have to cross many dangerous places to get to me. First, you will have to cross the desert, which Does this mean I can sue Glitch Productions for stealing my idea for the Amazing Digital Circus? Because I came up with the Candy Desert first, apparently. Next, you will have to find your way across the Savage Swamp, and finally across the Painted Plains. I like the alliteration, if you couldn't tell. And you will arrive at my palace. There's no discerning who is who here, so I have no idea who's talking. So, we made it. Do we have... Okay, so that's definitely Mage Bear. And this is most likely Ninja Bear. So they get there. They go inside the place. And a little minion guy from the start is like, the master thought you would come. You know, despite telling them to come, he was just kind of banking on it that they would actually show up. And so Barbarian's just like, whoa. And then, hello, brothers. So, despite not knowing at all who these four characters are, we know nothing about them. But apparently, they have a brother who is a villain, maybe? That's barely been established, other than the fact that he's ominous. And, remember what I told you to remember, that he had both eyes in the silhouette? He does not here. He's missing an eye. So either I forgot who this was supposed to be and just made a random plot twist, or I just could not be consistent with character design. But I got an A+, so I must have been doing something right. And there we have it. 10 years worth of an art journey. And now that I say that number out loud, feels really weird. It might be a little more. I think this is a little older than the first sketchbook, but still thought it was fun to include. Wow. It's crazy to look back at even the first one. I was a teen when this book started. I'm no longer a teen. I am a full-fledged adult, and honestly, it's been really cool. There's a lot of cool characters specifically that I thought up of that I haven't thought about in years, and I would love to redesign them in my current style with my current skill level. So I would definitely say keep an eye out for a redesigning old characters type of video, because there's a lot of cool ones that I want to introduce properly on the channel and maybe throw into a story here and there. But that's all I've got for you today. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to hit the like and subscribe button if you can find it in this mess of a pile. And if you would like to see other videos from me, well then, I got some over here. That's all I've got for you today. Thank you all so much for watching. My name is KyngPin. I will see you all in the next video. Take care, everybody.